Hello, my name is John Wright. I'm the band director at Northwood Temple Academy, and I wanted to say goodbye to 4 of my graduating seniors from the Academy, and I would first like to talk about Tamijah Ammons. Anyone who's attended a Northwood middle school or high school band concert for the past 9 years has enjoyed listening to the beautiful flute music of Tamijah Ammons, our first chair flute player. This past year, she was the flute section. Her other flute buddies either graduated or started homeschooling. This didn't stop her in the least. For our performances, I put a microphone to her flute, and she carried her flute part with absolute beauty. Her grandparents invested in her musical training by getting her lessons with Mrs. Linda Volman Lane at Methodist University. For hours, days, weeks, and years, Tamijah practiced hard to master the intricacies of the flute. I remember the high school band playing one Sunday morning for Academy Sunday before the service started. The band was playing a majestic piece as people entered the sanctuary. We came to a slow, soft section of the music, and Tamijah, with a microphone right here, began to play. The hundreds who had gathered simply stopped and listened. The atmosphere in the room changed. You see, when a person sacrifices their life to become skillful on an instrument, and they become sensitive to the Spirit of God and invite the presence of the Holy Spirit, no longer trusting in their own skill, but yielding their skill to His guidance, the music created begins to reflect the glory of God in all of His infinite perfections, His majesty, His beauty, His righteousness, His wisdom, His justice, His mercy, His goodness, His kindness. When a skillful musician practices the presence of God, perfection becomes the new normal. Band students, we were created in His image to walk in His forgiveness, to walk in His righteousness, to walk in His authority as we yield to His authority, so that we can glorify Him with our actions, words, and our music. When Tamijah was in the 9th grade, she auditioned for and made the all-district band and received 10th chair. In the 11th grade, she auditioned again and received 2nd chair in the 11-12 high school all-district band. That means she was auditioning as 11th grader against 12th graders as well. That meant she was the 2nd best high school flute player from Benson to the coast of North Carolina among all high school, public school students, and private school students. In the 12th grade, she auditioned again and received 5th chair. Tamijah has also tutored many Northwood flute players in order to pass her skill and knowledge to other younger players. You can spot Tamijah in the first chair spot on many Northwood band YouTube performances. She played flute in the orchestra pit for the NTA band production of Gideon's Dad and had a minor acting role in the band production of Esther, the movie remix. Most importantly, every day she comes to class on time, prepared and practiced up as she changes the very atmosphere of the room with her music as she depicts the glory of God. Tamijah, what a powerful blessing you have been to me and to the bands at Northwood and for all that have listened to you play. Thank you for the sacrifices that you have made for the past 9 years to make His praise glorious. Thank you, Tamijah. Now I'd like to talk about General Jackson Barnhill. I vividly remember Jackson when he was in Mrs. Marsh's 1st grade class when they were doing chapel. They were doing a song where the lyric says, "I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord." And Miss Marsh had Jackson in full battle gear in front leading the soldier dance, singing, "I'm a soldier, sir, yes, sir." And I started working with Jackson when he was in the 4th grade as a very good saxophone player. He moved to percussion in middle school, covering several different instruments. Then he moved to trumpet. Now, if you've ever heard the band play, then you've heard Jackson. For the past several years, Jackson has been the mighty man on the trumpet. He's been a key player in that Northwood brass section sound. Fortunately, when I would explain how to read different musical rhythms, Jackson paid very close attention. When it comes to reading complex rhythms, Jackson is one of our strongest and most confident readers. He played in the Gideon's Dad Orchestra and was a featured actor as the villain as Bigthana in Esther the Remix, that movie that we did. Jackson was also one of our 4 featured vocalists for a high school Christmas concert where we did several vocal pieces. The thing about Jackson is that he loves to sing really loud. Many times in band class, we would be playing along and Jackson would decide to sing his part instead of playing. He could sing as loud as the whole rest of the trumpet section could play. Coming to class, he and Eddie would always be arguing about different sports teams, and of course I never even knew what season it was. When he would leave, he would always be singing though, very loudly. Then everyone would join him as they left. After the door closed behind them, I could still hear them singing over the rumble of Ramsey Street. It was usually the last song that we were playing just before I dismissed class. I always wondered if they carried that song all the way to the next building. Then I would say a prayer for Mr. Williams and his math class over there sitting quietly, and Mrs. Walter's class that faced our direction, wondering if they heard all that stuff and that commotion. I always told the high school band that Jackson was the best male vocalist at NTA, but I could never get him to sing for chapel. Recently that got me to thinking. I contacted Jackson's dad, who was the pastor of a church in Lumberton. I knew that Jackson played drums for him on Sunday, but I wanted to know more about what Jackson did at his church. Pastor Barnhill put me in touch with their church worship team leader, and I'm going to read you what they said about the mighty Jackson. And I quote, "Jackson is involved in the following for the Pentecostals of Lumberton as a worship leader, a singer in the adult choir, a singer in the youth ensemble, singer in the sanctuary praise team, refuge student ministry praise team, and the second lead drummer. He has always chosen to be a part of our Christmas and Easter musical as a vocalist and or a drummer. He has also chosen to sing at our statewide youth functions." Statewide. And I'm going to continue quoting them. Jackson exudes confidence because he is more comfortable with the various vocal parts. The praise team is more confident in their vocal parts following him. He doesn't just sing or play the drums, he worships. His worship, now listen to this, creates an atmosphere where others are comfortable worshiping as well. His peers look to him as a leader in the music department. He is often found helping others with their vocal or musical parts. Evidently, Mrs. Marsh's little soldier is still at it. Now, several of our younger band members really look up to Jackson. I've seen Jackson having a private conversation with them in the instrument storage room so that they would do their best in band class. And Jackson, that meant a lot to me, sir. Jackson, thank you for the mighty wall of sound that you created with your trumpet. Thank you for the way that you led the band in a jolly vocal rendition of English folk song suite as we went to class. Jackson, you know how the brass section missed you when you took a trip to the bathroom during class, but now we will really miss you. I pray that you will continue to allow God to use your powerful musical gift for His glory. Now I would like to talk about Connor Bright. I used to call him Connor Very Bright. Connor came to us from Fayetteville Academy, where my good friend Jonathan Andrews is the band director, came as a 6th grader on the trumpet. He's always been a quiet, mild-mannered gentleman in band class. In physics, you have matter and antimatter. In band class, we have Jackson and Connor the anti-Jackson. It's not like they don't like each other. It's just that they are two extreme opposites. When you have a General Jackson, you have to have many Tamajas, Connors, and Eddie Woods to balance things out. The greatest thing about Connor was the fact that he would quietly slip into band class without me even hearing him come in. I would only hear him when it came time to play. And that was wonderfully refreshing for an older man like me, especially when I was tired. He reminds me of some engineers I've known in the past, calm, quiet, introspective, and slow to speak, which is wonderful. For the past 6 years, he has survived living in the Northwood trumpet section. Now, I'm not going to list any names in order to protect the guilty, but if you're in the high school band, you know that there's some very interesting, wonderfully different young people, young men in the trumpet section. But they can play, so I'm good. It's okay. Praise God for Connor Bright and Ryan, who bring a calm sanity to the high school trumpet section. This year, God has blessed Connor by allowing him to follow Brandon McClenathan as our first chair trumpet player in his senior year. Connor has practiced and worked hard on the trumpet, battling braces on his teeth and then really taking off with his high range when he was finally able to have them removed. It has been so nice to have him cover the first trumpet part, getting to his seat on time, prepared, always paying attention, counting the rest, and being there when I gave the trumpet section their cue. He played in the Gideon's Dad Orchestra and gave us an excellent filming location for the first scene of Esther, the remix movie, in a large workshop where my kitchen cabinets were cut and laminated, by the way. In Esther the movie, Connor played the part of a palace guard next to Justin Braswell, one of our trombone players. As a guard, he also removed Bigthana and Teresh, which was Eddie and of course Jackson, from King Xerxes' presence after their plot was discovered. His role in the Esther movie kind of reflected his daily existence in band class. When I write a production, I always superimpose my band students' personalities into their roles and just tell them, be yourself. And then everyone says to me, wow, they're such good actors. I just say, thank you. I really worked hard with them. I discovered some interesting things about Connor from a reliable source. Connor built his own computer recently to his specifications. He also built one for his dad last month. He is a closet chef. He doesn't cook simple stuff like mac and cheese, but has perfected beef Wellington and a chocolate souffle dessert. He also does a little fishing when he can. He's a member of the Beta Club, baseball team. Outside of school, he assists with the audio-video team at Gardner's United Methodist Church. He plans on pursuing a business degree from Methodist University in hopes of one day owning a business of his own. Connor is passionate about his faith and takes education seriously. He's genuine about his friendships and accepts people for who they are. Connor has a favorite cat named Match. He loves to work on his infamous 1989 Formula Firebird Trans Am, the Knight Rider car, that was originally his dad's. When his parents found out that they were having a baby boy, his mother just had one dream. Some mothers, they say, I want my son to be a doctor. Some mothers, I want my son to be a lawyer. Mrs. Wright said, one day, I want my son to look fine sitting behind the wheel of a Trans Am. She actually cried the first day that he drove off in that car. Touching. So, finally, also, if you ever have a craving for strawberry milkshakes, Connor is the man. He makes the best strawberry milkshakes. Connor, thank you so much for all of your hard work in band class. Thank you for always doing the right thing at the right time. Your adult mannerisms have rubbed off on the others. Really they have. And for that, I'm very thankful. You made my responsibilities a pleasure. I know that your calm, disciplined lifestyle will lead you to success. May God be with you, my good friend. And now finally, I would like to talk about Edward Winton Wood III. He started on the trumpet in the 4th grade back when he was a little bit smaller. Now he's much, much larger. Eddie received the Eagle Spirit Award 12 times in elementary school. He was a nice guy. He also sang in the Northwood Temple Children's Church Choir with Mrs. Wright when she was conducting that group from the time that he was 5 years old until he got into the 6th grade. That's 7 years. He was also featured in many Northwood Temple Church productions. One time he played Baby Jesus, but that was when he was much smaller. When I used to play in the Northwood Orchestra for about 18 years, I remember seeing Eddie play all kinds of different parts. When we did the movie Esther, the remix, Eddie played the part of the slightly slow Teresh, an innocent villain. Okay, not an innocent victim, but he was the innocent villain because in the movie he didn't quite know exactly what was going on. Because he had been in so many church productions, he'd been used to being under pressure, and he knew that he had to know his lines. So he was so prepared. He was one of the most prepared actors that I'd worked with in that whole production. Nothing distracted him. Now, you've heard me say that I usually project the personalities of my students into the characters that they play so they don't have to act. But this is not the case with Eddie. He's just a really good actor that was very, very believable. Of Beta Club, He has the most volunteers hours for Beta. He did VBS, working with them. He was also a big actor for VBS, as a brilliant actor for that. He has also served at dinner theater, feeding the homeless, working at MOPS sales, volunteering at the Northwood thrift shop, baseball buddies, Samaritan's Purse. He made all conference in baseball and will be playing at FTCC this fall. He played soccer for the first time in his life his senior year and did a great job. I found out from a reliable source that he absolutely loves his family and his amazing son and a big brother. He's also played upward basketball from the time he was 5 years old until his senior year. He coached upward basketball for 4 years and refereed for 2 years. At our church, it's hard to find referees because nobody likes the referee, but everybody loves Eddie. He's also coached upward basketball, coached upward baseball, and directed the baseball camps for Northwood Temple Church. Obviously, Eddie is a servant. Now that's saying a lot. Eddie, thank you so much for holding down all those trumpet parts in band for all these past 9 years. Thank you for putting up with Jackson. Yeah. And thank you for releasing Tanner on all those different days when I asked you nicely not to kill him. Now, did he deserve to die? Yes. But, you know, his mother would have been really sad. And so on her behalf, thank you. Also, thank you for helping your little brother Eli on the trumpet. Thanks to you, he's going to be awesome. Eddie, servant of God, I know that God will continue to use you in many ways in the years to come. Band class of 2020, no one will ever forget this year that you graduated. God's kind of put a small little exclamation point on your year, and He has allowed it. He didn't cause it, maybe, I don't know. But, you know, no one will forget this year, and I will certainly never forget you. Thank you so much for all that you've done for me and for the bands and for the school at Northwood. Thank you so much.